how to be unbothered by life. I'm about to share with you my biggest secrets on really activating that divine feminine prosperity, love, higher consciousness so that you can really manifest and hold it all. Welcome in, everyone. And we're going to start by actually setting up the big picture today. I'm really nervous because I haven't gone live from my phone in a really long time. I usually do it from Zoom. And so it like feels like I'm going live for the first time, even though that's not true. Let me know if you can see me and hear me just so I know that everything's good. This month, I'm going to be doing a lot of transmissions. This is my birthday month, and it's also Lady Ball, my book's birthday. It's also my brand's birthday. So, what I found in my life is that everything is neutral until we add meaning to it. And we all have certain source codes that we use to add meaning to life. Depending on what meaning you're adding to relationships, to prosperity, to yourself, will dictate what kind of a life that you have. Okay, amazing, Christian. Thank you for letting me know. I've been live streaming for like almost a decade, I think 7, 8 years, and you would think that this is the first time. I feel so nervous doing it on my phone today. So, most life situations can be dealt with reframing the meaning that we assign to those things. So, here's how I look at life. These are my source codes. I look at life as there is a spirit part of us, the soul part of us, and then there's like the human part of us. And I often talk about how we are spiritual technology encoded in animal DNA, which means that in order to understand life, the meaning of life, my goals, my desires, how to live my life, I look at my life as okay, what does the spirit say, the spirit DNA, and then the animal DNA. And because of that, been led on this journey of studying spirituality, spirit, soul work, which I call, and then also studying human evolution, human psychology, human nature. And so I'm braiding them, integrating them in my life, but I'm always aware of what are the source codes. Like, am I more in my animal right now? Am I more in my human? Or am I more in my consciousness right now? Am I more in my spirit, my soul right now? And so I feel like because I also have this interesting duality and polarity between the Eastern culture, being born to Pakistani immigrants in the United States, I consider myself Pakistani American. I also look at what I can learn and embody from the Eastern culture and what I can learn and embody from the Western culture. And what I have found in my life is combining both the spirit and the animal, and then combining both the Eastern and the Western has given me the most success in my life. And a lot of people ask me, they will, my students will say, oh my God, Mina, how can you be so unbothered when you've been through this? How can you be so unbothered? And I believe these are the source codes. The reason that I'm unbothered by a lot of life situations is because one, the meaning I assign to them is different now. And also I I've been through a lot. So my capacity to for what will throw me off course is different from the average person that maybe hasn't gone through a lot of things, right? So I have a couple of things that I want to talk to you about that will help you understand how I think. A lot of people, when they think of being embodied, especially in the Western world, being unbothered, I mean, when I'm listening to them, the frequency is off to me. I am very observant when it comes to frequencies and people's energetics. That's my psychic ability, it's my gift. I believe all human beings are psychic, especially women, but most of us have forgotten how to use those tools. And I noticed that the energy around them being unbothered is one with a closed heart, with a closed animal body. It's like a it's kind of like fu energy. It's like I don't care. It's numbing, it's contraction, is it's collapsing. And that's not what I mean when I talk about being unbothered. I am unbothered and I still love. I am unbothered and I still deeply care. I am unbothered and I still deeply enjoy my life. So I think that's the difference that I see. And I think when you haven't really understood the source codes, then and being unbothered means you have to isolate yourself, you don't get along with anyone, um, you have to keep your relationships really tight, and that's not what I value. So I have a different definition of unbothered at this stage in my life. So the number one way is by collapsing duality. So let's talk about this. How to be unbothered by collapsing duality. What is duality? So, duality is good and bad. Duality is the judgments that we have that this is a good event and I should be happy about this, and this is a bad event and I should be really unhappy about this. I believe that most of human suffering comes from this duality. And one of the biggest lessons of my life, I turned 45 this month. I'm so excited. This November is always like a really big, exciting celebration month for us here. It's my birthday, it's my company's birthday, it's the Lady Ball's second birthday. And we're going to be doing a lot of celebrations this month. And what I've learned is that every single thing when I was younger, I would say, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is awful. And I would like suffer through it. A year later, 6 months later, 2 years later, I would look back and I would say, oh my God, that was the best thing that happened to me. Oh my God, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. And so this happened in my life enough times where I was like, huh. So all of my human suffering has come from calling something good or bad too early. And what I started doing is I started zooming out of situations. This is more of like that spiritual practice, like the spirit part of our technology. And when things would happen, and I would be jolted, I would say, "Wait, hold on a minute, Mina. Every single thing bad that has happened to you in the moment, it seemed horrible. In the moment, it seemed hard, and then later on, it was nothing but full of blessings. So could it be that this too is happening for you?" And that has been the biggest game changer for me. The reason I stay unbothered, it's not because I close my heart. It's not because I'm above it all or anything like that. It's just that I don't know if this is good or bad. And so I've stopped calling things good or bad. Now, that's the spiritual side. What this looks like in the animal side is that my nervous system will start freaking out when something new and anxiety inducing is happening. So, what I have to do is use that spirit consciousness that I just said, that reframe of, I don't know if this is good or bad. Like everything else in my life, this might be happening for me. I might end up richer, hotter, sexier, more loved, more calm after this, after 6 months, after a year. I don't know yet. And so what I do is use that consciousness to kind of soothe the animal. And how you soothe the animal is doing like there's the spiritual metabolism, and then there's the animal metabolism. There is the spiritual nervous system, and then there's the animal nervous system. And so I use the spiritual nervous system to gently soothe the animal nervous system. And I've taught you guys those techniques in the nervous system reboot. And so what that does is, as I'm expanding my nervous system beyond that thing, my capacity expands. And you guys know what happens when your capacity expands, don't you? When your capacity expands, you start running more joy, more orgasmic energy, more bliss energy, more money, more love, more pleasure. Like your container, your capacity expands in all dimensions. And so this has helped me so much. It has completely transformed my life. And this is what it means to, I have my notes over here that I'm looking at. This is what it means to collapse duality. So the first stage of this inner work is usually for people to be able to move through duality, right? It's being able to regulate themselves, grow, not collapse, not go into depression, not be anxious. That's the first step when you're just dealing in the human realm. But when you start combining the spiritual nervous system work, the light body work, everything changes, because now it's like, oh my gosh, everything is happening for me. And this is not just a logical kind of thing that I'm spitting out from my brain. No, I'm like embodying in that way. I'm really embodying it in my nervous system, in both my nervous systems. And there is a this beautiful, I don't know if it's called like a fable. I'm sure many of you guys have heard it. If not, you could Google it. It's called Good Thing, Bad Thing, Who Knows? And the story goes something like, if I can remember it correctly, is that there was a man in a village, and he acquired a horse. And his neighbors came and they said, wow, you're so wealthy, you have this horse. And he said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? The next morning, his son was riding the horse, and his son fell off of it and broke his leg. And the neighbors came again and they said, oh no, your son broke his leg because of this horse. I guess you're not that wealthy after all. And the man said, good thing, bad thing, who knows? The next day, there was a war coming, and they were going to draft all the able bodied men for this war who were basically going to be certain to die. And this man's son was spared because he was not able bodied, his leg was broken. And so those men came again, and they said, the neighbors came and said, oh, your son got spared because of his leg. And again, he said, good thing, bad thing, who knows, and so on and so forth. You can Google this and listen to the whole story. But that's how I live my life. Because I have enough experience with enough different things that I've gone through in my life, I believe that because I don't call it out good or bad, in fact, what I do at this stage is I say, of course, this is happening for me. Everything is always happening for me. This too will work in my favor. And what happens is the timeline changes. And even if the thing was supposed to be bad, quote unquote, we're not judging it as that, it always ends up in my favor. Nothing has happened to me in my life that has not turned out in my favor, because this is one of my strongest beliefs. I believe that every single thing is happening for me, no exceptions. That God is always on my side, that everything is always happening for me, that the angels are rooting me, God is rooting me, the universe is rooting me. And because of this deeply ingrained belief, I don't have to go through human suffering the way that I would without this belief. So that's what I mean by collapsing duality, and that's how I stay unbothered. Okay, the next one is, okay, this is a big one. I do business, life, romance, marriage, parenting, like everything from a relaxed state. And this goes back to collapsing duality. If you are not judging things as good or bad, then you can stay relaxed and stay surrendered and stay present in every moment, because you know that every moment is just unfolding in your favor. Even if it doesn't look like it, even if you can't see it yet, it doesn't even matter, because if you really believe that, then you can remain in a relaxed state. This is why I can't offer an, like honest answers to how many hours do you work, because my question would be, how are you defining work? Right? Like what most people would call work is play for me, because I'm doing it from a relaxed state. And if I'm not adding negative consciousness to it, hard consciousness to it, that means that I can do things from a relaxed state. Now, how I believe that most people are getting this wrong right now is when they hear things like let it be easy or do things from a relaxed state, what they think this means is only do really easy things. And that is not going to get your desires manifested. I believe that the harder things we do and the more we let them be easy, the more our capacity expands. I know that if I kept my life like, okay, I'm just going to avoid everything hard, I'm going to avoid anything that looks like work, I'm going to avoid anything that's not easy, how big would my capacity be? Like, could I really hold the level of love that I can hold? Could I really hold the level of sacred body of work that I hold? Can I really hold the kind of clients that I hold? Can I really hold the kind of wealth that I have, right? Of course not, because my capacity would be super limited. It would be super small. And so this is a big mistake that I see people making, and it can come up in a lot of distorted ways. For example, when people say, "Oh, I only hang out with high consciousness people." That I get it. Like some of us had to like protect ourselves through different journeys and different phases, but that should not be your only line of defense, because you will keep your life really small if you can only hang out with high consciousness people, because by definition you're not high consciousness if you're saying that. Here's why. High consciousness people means that they're functioning more in their spirit and less in their human, which means that you should be able to be in the consciousness of all, or in the presence of all types of people, and it should not mess with your spiritual or your human DNA as much. It shouldn't mess with your human nervous system or your spiritual nervous system as much. And so, yes, I get it. Sometimes there are situations in our life, I've been through that too, where we need a little bit of distance from people because we're really working on making our nervous system stronger. Totally understand that. But if you stop there, then everything will be limited in your life. The level of love you can hold in your body, how much you can open your heart, which means the level of pleasure you can feel, how much you can receive from the divine masculine, how much joy you can feel, how much money you can hold, the kind of clients you can serve, everything will be limited. So again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's the kind of life experience you want to have. But I feel like the people that want the biggest things in life, they have the biggest desires, are also like completely isolating themselves. And you're not putting your spiritual and receiving muscles through the gymnastics and the weightlifting that it needs to be able to hold what you want to hold. Let me know if this is making sense to you. Drop a heart or give this video a like. I'm also going to be taking questions. Um, let me see what else I wanted to say about being unbothered. I'm open to answering questions if you have questions about that. Okay, the next thing that's coming up for that is, in order to collapse duality and be unbothered, you have to, one, trust God, two, trust yourself, and three, trust other people. And what this looks like is you have to trust that everything is working out with you for you, because God's the ultimate provider, he's the ultimate decision maker, and he's making every decision in your favor. You have to trust yourself that no matter what you go through, you will be able to bounce back, you will be better and wiser for it. And you have to trust other people to be able to figure stuff out, because when we're trying to control God, control ourselves, control and manipulate other people, it's really hard to be unbothered, because what happens is we let little things get to us. I can't even believe how many amazing, brilliant, educated, spiritual women let the smallest things get to them. Like their partner saying something, that date saying something, a certain client, the weather, flight delays, right? If you really truly believe that everything is happening out for you, and that you can ultimately trust God, you can ultimately trust yourself, and you can always trust that other people will always figure it out. They are also capable just like you are. Then you have nothing to worry about. And so then little things will not get you worked up. Really, if you think about this, the way I process this is that instead of leveling up, level in. Really go into leveling inwards. I think sometimes we're so focused on leveling up that we skip steps, and that there's gaps in our consciousness. I see this all the time, is that there's people that are learning about things that are above their quote unquote pay grade, which means they haven't earned that information, they haven't earned that wisdom. And so we're living in a society now where people have too much information and not enough life experience and not enough embodiment. But they sound like they know what they're saying, they sound like they know everything. And then they go around spitting this information at everyone else, and it all becomes really noisy. It becomes really confusing for a lot of people. And so for me, going back to spirit animal, like the spirit conscious part, the animal DNA part, knowing what the source codes are, and then my Eastern values and my Western values, and combining them and saying, what am I supposed to be doing? What are my values? In my values, am I the kind of person that gets bothered by weather? Am I the kind of person that gets bothered by a flight delay? Am I the kind of person that gets bothered by someone else having a preference or an opinion about something? No, right? It sounds even ridiculous for me to say it this way, but so many of us get bothered by what other people say and do. Okay, so let me take a sip of my drink and then I'll share. Let me see what else I wanted to talk about. Okay, the next thing is you have to decide, you have to decide what is a problem in your life and what isn't. So I made a decision a long time ago that people are not a problem in my life. And that took a lot because of you guys, most of you guys know my story, what I've been through in my life. But when I made that decision, it was like a whole level of paradigm and consciousness opened up for me. Other people are not a problem in my life. Um, Situation and places, things not working out the way that I thought they would in the moment, those things are not a problem in my life. I remain unbothered for those things because, again, going back to, well, everything is always working out for me, anyways. And it always does, because that's not something that I'm just saying that's cute. It's because I really do embody it. This is something that I live out, that if everything is working out for me and this too will work out for me, then let me start acting, living, moving as if it's already worked out for me. And the decisions that I make from that point, the my habits, my traits, my qualities, everything shifts, because if it's already going to work out for me, then there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to figure out, and I just get to keep enjoying my life as I'm moving forward. What else is coming up for you guys? Let me know as you're hearing this. Oh my God, I have missed all these questions or comments. I love this point of view and perspective on duality. Thank you for pouring into us. Thank you. Amazing. Okay. So I want to talk about also November, because November is my favorite month. It's my birthday month. And so three things happen in November. It's my birthday, so I'm going to turn 45 this month. It's also my book Lady Ball's second birthday. And on November 17, 2017, I took my little local life coaching business, and I turned it into the Universe Guru movement, the Universe Guru brand. And I like to celebrate this. Typically, for many years, as some of you guys know, I would do a week long sale. I would do a code. And for a whole week, you could have a certain percentage off all my courses. I'm doing something different this year. So this year, we're going to celebrate all 30 days. There's going to be random surprise flash sales. There's going to be free masterclasses. There's going to be fun little challenges and games and things we're going to be playing. Yesterday was November 1st, and I sent you guys an email with the first offer. And the first offer is, I think we have 22 hours left on this. It was 48 hours originally because I sent it out yesterday. You get 45% off of my feminine energy source codes transmissions. This is over 70 hours of transmissions that I've done on basically anything related to feminine energy, spirituality, relationships. It's had a couple of name changes. In the beginning, it used to be called High Value Babes Club. Then I changed the name to Feminine Energy Mega Trainings, and now the name is Feminine Energy Source Codes. So you get 45% off with the code SOURCE and the number 8, and it's linked in the chat, and I'll put it in the comments later. So that's the first kind of thing that we have going on. There's going to be a lot of other fun things. Tomorrow, we also start my light body course live. And this is called the Noor Pathways. And this is where we're going to be working on our spiritual nervous system and our spiritual metabolism. Let's see. Is this live going to be saved? Yes, they are automatically saved. As a first time mom to be soon, yes, I know it will be challenging at times, but I know it will expand my capacity and it gets to be easy as I go through this journey. I keep hearing negative things about motherhood, but refuse to let that bother me. Yes, so other people's negative consciousness, their beliefs have nothing to do with me. Those things bother us when there's void in us, meaning we don't know our source codes, we don't know our values, we don't know what we believe. And I think that this is a big issue going on in society right now, is that a lot of people, especially in the Western culture, they feel lost because they've lost their identity, because they've lost God. They have what I call the religion wound, the God wound. And when you lose God, you lose your identity. Then when they find God, they don't really know what that means. There's no source codes. Like, I can't tell you how many people leave me the most random comments. It's almost comical where they're like, well, if you were a spiritual person, you wouldn't be doing this, or you wouldn't be saying this, or you wouldn't be wearing this. And it's like, says who? Where are you getting that information from? Show me the source codes. And so people don't have source codes anymore. They're just empty shells repeating regurgitated content. And so if you don't have your own source codes, you go around trying to just grasp information and figure things out. And here's where motherhood isn't hard for me. Where do I get my source codes? Okay, spirituality, the original transmissions, the original feminine and masculine energy transmissions from the religions, the three Abrahamic religions and Hinduism. I've studied them and combined the source codes of them and extracted out the keys of spirituality and God. So that's where I'm getting that from, right? So there's my motherboard is full of that. Okay, the other part is the animal body. Where am I getting the source codes from that? From evolutionary biology and evolutionary psychology. So the other part of my motherboard is full of that. Okay, so now let's say 10 people come to me and they say motherhood is hard. Yes, for them it is, right? Um, you shouldn't be a mother. Yes, for them, right? Because my motherboard is full of my own source codes where I got them from a certain place. It's not random, right? So if I hear a TikTok video, which I don't watch TikTok, but you get the gist. If I don't know those people's motherboards. I don't know where they got their information. I don't know what culture they're from. I don't know their source codes. I don't know how educated they are. I don't know how spiritually intelligent they are. I don't know how emotionally intelligent they are. So I have my own frameworks, my own source codes that I'm working with, right? So when my children ask me a question, when my clients ask me a question, they trust that I'm not just randomly pulling things out, right? Like, I have a body of work created from those two unique source codes, and that's what I'm sharing. And this is why, if you really look at it, I see this all the time. Some of my own mentors have done this. It drives me absolutely crazy because I'm like, oh my gosh, credibility all gone. They'll have like 10 years of doing something, 5 years of doing something, 20 years, and then they'll show up. Oh my God, I was lying. Oh my God, I was doing it all wrong. Oh my God, I'm going to burn the whole thing down. Then they burn the whole thing down. Then they create something else. And now it's like, well, if you didn't know what you were doing all those times and you were selling me that and you were saying that, right? You'll notice that that doesn't happen with my work because the source codes, yes, they refine and they evolve, but they're actually coming from somewhere pretty consistent. Pretty, like, scriptures are, they are what they are. Human biology, it is what it is. And when I take all that and I run it through my consciousness, my stories, my life experience, there is an evolution, there is a refinement there, but there's never like, oh my God, I didn't know what I was doing and everything was a lie and don't, like, I have to tear everything down. No, but I don't know what other people. So that's why people can raise their kids however they want to. They can have all kinds of opinions about marriage. They can believe whatever they want. That's coming from their source codes. That has nothing to do with me, and it has nothing to do with you. You have to decide, where are you getting your source codes from, because that's what creates your results. That's the life experience that you get to have. I love your teachings from High End Divinity. I'm going to learn Urdu so I can follow you as my spiritual guide. Amazing, Setu. I love that. Over vulnerability is a turn off for me. I think vulnerability is another one of those words where I think most people don't know what that means. It has different meanings. And here's the other thing we have to understand is, for most of human history, we've led pretty small lives, meaning we only had access to a certain group of people, right, in our tribes. And with the internet, we now have access to so many different types of people, so many different levels of consciousness, and there's there's duality in that, honestly, right? My eyes have been opened, because even though when I came on the internet 15 years ago, I thought, being in between two cultures, east and west, having had a thriving real estate business, that I had met a lot of people and I knew a lot of people. I was still pretty limited on the type of people I had met. And on the internet, everything gets really amplified. You meet different types of people, and you have to be really discerning of what kind of information and consciousness you let in. One of the biggest life lessons for me, there's so many, I could do like a whole training just on that, being on the internet, has been that um, we've never had access to so many different opinions and so many different levels of consciousness. So, like, for example, in my mother, like, country, my mother tongue, in Pakistan, you can clearly tell the difference between an educated person and an educated person. And it's like very clearly known, and you adjust accordingly. Well, in the United States, because there's more abundance, I remember, even there was a class I took at Northwestern, and I don't know if this was the name of the class or the book, but the title was America's Poor Has Color TVs. And basically, the the premise of that whole training, or the book, was that that poverty is more hidden in the Western world, and illiteracy is more hidden, right? And so it's really interesting to me now that you could be completely illiterate, never have left your hometown, have not experienced anything in life, very like small life, and you can start a TikTok account and have millions of followers and can be giving people relationship advice or money advice or life advice. And that's great for the opportunity factor of that, but that doesn't mean that you or your children should be taking that advice. And I think that's why there's so much more confusion now, is because there's more access to unverified information. And when I say unverified, I mean spiritually unverified, intellectually unverified. Like, does that match your beliefs? Does that match your source code? Does that match the desired results that you want out of your life? And this is something that we do need to not only embody ourselves, but teach our children, that to be able to discern. One thing I will say is that I feel like our children are already more discerning. I have something funny to share with you guys. So I had this thing many years ago. I had this thought where I was like, oh my God, there's like so much AI now. There's so much AI generated content. Like, how are our children going to be able to decipher between real and fake? Well, the joke's on me, because my kids can spot AI like in a blink of a second. It takes me forever. It's so funny because I bought this beautiful painting, and it matched the statue that I had. And I saw this painting in a store. I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be perfect in the family room because it matches that statue. So I bring the painting home, and I kid you not, I hadn't even taken it out of the packaging fully. Like one-fourth of it had unpackaged. And Alina, she's like, Mom, that's AI generated. You know that, right? And I'm like, no. And so I'm like, hold on, look at the whole thing. So I like undo the tissue and I'm taking it out. And she's like, that's so obvious AI. And I'm like, where? Show me how. And she's like, the whole thing, you can't tell. And so what I've learned too is we never have to have fear for our kids, because whatever we think they can't figure out, they're already coded for that. And even now they can tell right away what's fake, what's real. So I think it's our kind of like middle generation that lived before social media, before AI, and now we're having to deal with it. We're the ones that need a little bit more help with that. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting because they're just, you know how we would look at what was it called, like Photoshop, and we would say, oh, that's Photoshop, right? But we were discerning with that. They're discerning with everything that we think is going to be scary. They are already discerning in that. um Anything else coming up for you guys as far as being unbothered? Let me see. This is fun. I think I am enjoying this on my phone so much more. I'm going to get better with this. Mila, welcome to Level Up Queens. Fiona, welcome. I think if I'm not mistaken, there's no 30-second lag in this, right? Like with Zoom. That's what I also love. I think there is no lag in it, at least. So, what would it look like in your life if people weren't a problem in your life, plans changing weren't a problem, plot twists weren't a problem, things being delayed weren't a problem? Um, Everything was always working out with you. How unbothered would you be if that was your actual belief system, if that is how you actually lived your life? That's true freedom. Yes. I think I would enjoy the life experience more. 1000%, babe. And there's nothing stopping you from doing that now. There's nothing stopping you. I can't tell you how many times things like that have happened where we get somewhere, we were expecting something, it doesn't quite work out, and I hold the pose up, everything's working out for me, and it somehow, with a twist of events, actually turns out even better than we had planned. But I had to give it enough time, I had to give it enough juice of belief, versus if I already get in the context of like, oh no, this is ruined, oh no, this is like over, oh no, this is a bad idea. If I already judge it, I already call it, okay, well then God goes, your wish is my command. The universe goes, okay, well then I guess this is already a bad thing for you. How to know when you're oversharing with your date? So, Dolt, I'm actually doing inside of my light body course a training on light language. How to know if you're oversharing is you're using only words to communicate, you're probably oversharing. I believe that we should be using our feminine body to do most of the communication and less words. And there's a whole training on this that's going to be coming. Tomorrow is the first day of light body. The pre-work is already there. So if you have access to this course, it's linked in the description box. You can go and you can start on the pre-work. And tomorrow we'll be meeting live for the first transmission. And the first transmission is actually called source codes. And we're going to be talking about the light body source codes. And then one of the lessons, probably in December, it's going to be on using light language to communicate. If you only have words as your communication mechanism, main tool, you're probably oversharing, because it creates too much phonetic energy, it creates too much density, and he can't feel your body. That's a big problem right now too with a lot of women, especially self-aware Barbies. They're trying to be too helpful. they're trying to use too many words, they're trying to be too helpful. I have to deal with this every single day in my life as well, because I work with a lot of self-aware Barbies. I also go to a lot of events with self-aware Barbies, and if I could help, if I can give all self-aware Barbies the number one advice that's probably stopping their money flow, stopping their relationship flow, stopping their life pleasure, and keeping them really bothered, not unbothered, bothered, is trying to be helpful. Stop trying to be helpful. Anytime you're trying to be something, you're not it, right? So just be helpful, but stop trying to be helpful. That comes from a very different consciousness. It's the most powerful repellent you can have. If you want to repel people, be helpful. Try to be helpful. So that's another thing I would say, especially in dating, marriage, networking, business. That's a big one for our beloved self-aware Barbies. I get probably on average, if I combined everything, at least 100 unsolicited DMs and emails of well meaning, loving, caring, self aware Barbies trying to be helpful. Totally just unnecessary. I've had to ditch entire email addresses because they got flooded with unsolicited advice from loving, self aware Barbies. So, ladies, before I let you go, the birthday offer number one is 45% off. And I did 45 because I turned 45 this month. 45% off of the feminine energy source codes. My previous students have lovingly called this the Netflix of feminine energy. So, you can go check out the sales page. It's in the chat. I'll pin it to the comments as soon as this live is done. This was really fun. I'm going to be doing more of these from my phone. More of these like mobilized. Let me know if there's any other questions that you have about remaining unbothered by life, letting life flow, showing up as if it's the best day of your life every single day, as if everything's working out for you, as if people are not a problem in your life, plot twists are not a problem in your life. I'm going to give it a second in case someone's typing something and then let you guys go. I'm wondering what all these other buttons are, but I don't want to press them while I'm live. I'm gonna have to go research some of these. What is the? What if I press this one? What would happen? Oh my god. Okay, it's like turns on a light. What? Okay, what would this one do? Should I press it? What? What just happened? Okay. Okay, what is that other one? I don't know. I'm scared of that one. What is this? I don't know what that one does. Yeah, interesting. My understanding of leadership has expanded with this understanding of source codes. Amazing, Christian. I love that. Yeah, my kids are always lecturing me on that because I will go somewhere and it says red button, do not press. And then I'm like, I wonder what would happen if we press this button. My kids are like, Mom, stop it. And then I'll press it and then just to see. But yeah, now we know. I think I understand some of the other ones. That one, I think it would mute me. Oh, would this turn the camera off? Wait, can you still hear me when the camera is off? That's so cool. What if I wanted to go live while I was in bed and I didn't want to turn the camera on? Could I do that? Someone tell me if you could still hear me when I turn the camera off. This is so cool. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to be live streaming from my bed every day now. Okay. We're going to let this be so easy. I swear there's so many days where I'm in bed and I'm like, I wish I could just tell them this, but then I don't want to like get out of bed and like, do all the things that I could just hit like live, turn the camera off and just do like a blank screen live stream. What? This is so cool. We're definitely going to be doing that. That would be so fun. Amazing. I think that one just reverses it. All right, ladies. Okay, I'm going to stop messing with these functions and I will see you guys all in light body tomorrow. And soon on the live stream, we're going to be celebrating all 30 days. So make sure you're on my email list because I'm going to be sending out flash sales, special offers, crazy things, free things, paid things, all kinds of things to celebrate. All right, loves. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.